Welcome to Secrets from the Scene, a show for local musicians who want to improve their music, grow their audience, and learn about Minnesota's music scene. If you're interested in talking about all things music related and meeting interesting people from our local community, you're in the right place. Welcome to Secrets from the Scene. My name is Stephen Helvig, and I'm your host. We're here at Helvig Productions, my recording studio out in Excelsior, Minnesota, on the west side of the burbs, joined by Eli Awada. Thank you so much for making the long haul out here. I know it's a tough time of day to get through traffic and everything.
Yeah.
But
No
I'm excited to have you. We just officially met for the first time, which is great, but a lot of mutual connections with other guests and friends. Before we started, we were trying to dissect another mutual connection.
Yeah.
You've made quite a name for yourself in the music scene. For everybody that doesn't know, Eli is a keyboardist in the jazz fusion band called Room3. And he's been deeply involved in the Twin Cities music scene as a musician, but as a booker, venue manager, and ultimately like an event organizer. So you've done a lot of different things from different sides of the music business, which is really cool, and I'm excited to hear more about that. But this episode, outside of being about your background, is also going to be a little bit of a tour through the Twin Cities jazz scene as it is today, which is cool. That'll be fun to do. You know, where it's happening, who the bands are that you're excited about, what the expectations are, what crowds should expect, all of that. So without further ado, please welcome Eli Awada.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Stephen. I appreciate it. I've been a fan for a little bit now, like we were just talking about. So it's awesome to be in the space. It's a beautiful space to be on the other side of the camera, you know. But yeah, really excited to dive deep into the jazz scene and, you know, my own background. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, man. You know, I've seen your name come up through multiple different things, maybe first through like the Flavor World connection, maybe, but then just through other guests have brought you up in different scenarios. And, you know, when that starts happening, you know, like, okay, this person's like connected in so many different ways that always makes for a great guest, that people that get really deeply immersed in the scene from different things like that. So this would be great. When we did our pre-interview call, and for everybody that's listening, I'll call guests before, especially guests I don't know, before we even schedule an interview, and just talk about like, hey, what do we want to go over? And so when we did that, you had kind of mentioned that like the Twin Cities jazz scene is kind of having a moment, or like jazz fusion scene is kind of having a moment. What are you seeing that makes you say that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, so again, I am relatively new to the scene, but in like the 4 or 5 years that I've been performing and putting on my own shows, event producing and stuff, I have seen a noticeable uptick in interest in jazz as it exists today, and also like attendance, I would say. So both interest as like playing, like players wanting to play jazz fusion, and also like people going to shows. And that's like via my own group, Room3. Throughout the time that we've been performing, I've noticed just like more energy at shows and people treating it not as like a typical jazz show, but as like a rock show. Like we performed at the main room, Room3 performed at the main room for the Best New Bands show in 2024, which is a wild experience to be a jazz band playing in a venue like that. It's such a huge like rock venue pretty much. And people were like moshing to our music, and that was just an insane concept to me and to like everybody that put on the show, and they were like, we've never seen this before. And I don't necessarily think that like our music is so great that it just got people like super excited and moshing. I think that people genuinely are gravitating more towards instrumental music and just like high energy music. Our like we're not your average jazz band. Like it's not smang-a-lang the whole time swing. It's more high energy jazz fusion, truly jazz fusion. But yeah, I don't know. That was an eye-opening moment there for sure. That's kind of what made me think, oh, there's something happening right now.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. First, has that happened since, or was that unique to First Avenue?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I also used to throw events in my basement in college. I had a little house show venue called the Chop Shop back in the day. And Room3 would play there a lot. And just because it's a room full of college kids who want to move around and throw their bodies at each other, like it happened there a lot too. But I guess like the First Avenue thing was kind of taking it outside of that bubble and seeing it in a place where normal people also frequent, not just college kids. But yeah, I mean, I have seen it since then. Like we played the Bluegrass Festival, which was kind of strange at first for us going into it because we're a jazz fusion band and it was mainly like acoustic music throughout the whole day that we watched. But then we played like a 1 a.m. set in the middle of the woods, and there was a similar response there where people were like really moving around, like screaming and just like really digging it. And so I'm a student of jazz fusion. I love watching old YouTube videos of like 70s, 80s, like the origins of fusion, like Weather Report and Return to Forever, all those bands. And they used to be playing like stadiums, like back then it was a different thing. Like jazz fusion was received in that way where like they could fill like tens of thousands.
So let me jump in
seats.
quick. For everybody that's like, jazz to me means like traditional jazz. What is jazz fusion? How do you describe it?
Yeah, I should describe that for sure. So, I mean, jazz fusion, the word fusion obviously means blending together multiple things. So it's not just jazz. It's like heavily based in jazz. Again, like that language of bebop and swing, the stuff that originated in the early 1900s. But the fusion aspect is, when I hear that, I think electric, first of all. Like there are electronic instruments involved, Rhodes and synths, and even like electronic drums, weird bass pedals and stuff. So it's more experimental in that way sonically, but it's also fusing like R&B and jazz with R&B and gospel and funk and rock. I mean, rock is really like when it first started jazz fusion, I would say it was taking rock and jazz and sandwiching them together. Like those first fusion bands, it felt like a rock concert, but just with incredible virtuosic players. And that's really exciting to me. Like that energy of your typical rock show, but there are cats up there who are really, really playing. It's
there's a lot of shredding.
Yeah.
And it's also like harmonically far more complex.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's instrumental music too, mostly. I mean, there is jazz fusion that has lyrics and stuff, but the instrumental jazz fusion really takes you on a journey because of those new harmonic pathways that are being presented. To me, it just like takes me on such a different mental journey than any other music. Like I can just really live in it. They're like long songs usually too, and there's different movements in them, and you can really just kind of like imagine your own story, and it comes to you where you're at. That's what I love about instrumental music. Like it doesn't really tell you what the message of the song is about besides the title. So you can kind of come up with your own meaning.
Yeah.
And like I said before, like live in it and yeah.
So do you think that, in terms of this increased awareness or excitement about the scene, do you think there's new things happening musically or just new interest in it? Or both?
Like on a local level? That's a good question. I would say a little bit of both. We kind of touched on the new interest that I've observed, but also I've seen, I don't know, there are more like jam sessions popping up now that have a jazz or jazz fusion like lean to them. There's the Cherry Pit Open Jam at Berlin that happens every Wednesday night, and there's a lot of players from different backgrounds that are like forced to perform at the same time. So that is jazz fusion, like if there's someone with rock sensibilities who is performing with someone with jazz sensibilities and they're forced to make a song together, like that just automatically becomes jazz fusion, Okay. And so like there are more spaces now where like new bands are being formed, or just like that music is being created naturally and organically. And I think that has a lot to do with it, potentially. Just, all of these spaces that are allowing for
Yeah,
for
and we're
those.
gonna get to that when
Yeah.
we do a little bit of our tour. But
For sure, for sure.
do you think that the scene is overlapping more between all the different pockets of jazz?
Hmm. Well, I would say, I mean, the jazz scene locally is still pretty small.
Okay.
And so I don't know if there are like super
Maybe
like
it's not very
segmented. Yeah.
anyway.
I
Yeah.
mean, like everyone knows each other. I don't like, I know I could, yeah, I would recognize and be able to probably go up to anyone in the jazz scene and like they know who I am. I know who they are, even in the short time that I've been playing. So, but there definitely are like the more traditional folks and the more like fusion leaning
Sure.
folks. I guess that's usually kind of how I segment it. If there are two camps in the
Traditional
local,
and non-traditional.
there's traditional and non. I mean,
Yeah.
that's true, I guess, with any form of art. But there's definitely like in jazz, tradition is a big word, you know.
Certainly.
Like it's very important, and I still am a strong believer in tradition, but I also think that the tradition of jazz is to push it forward and to innovate. Like so, like if you're playing standards the same way they've been played for 40, 50, 60, 70 years, then you're not really honoring the tradition, I would say. That's my personal opinion. Yeah, of course, there's a level of respect, you know, like you don't want to change it too much to the point where people are like, who is this guy? Like trying to change what's already, you know, like a perfect thing. But
It just comes down to context, right?
yeah,
What's the setting and what are the expectations?
for
But
sure. Totally.
how did you first get into it? Like, what's your background? When did you start playing keys?
Yeah, totally. So I started playing keys at like 7 or 8 years old. I wanted to play piano, and my parents were kind of iffy about it because it's the classic thing where, you know, you don't know if the kid's going to stick with it. Is it worth it to invest the time and the money to put them in lessons? And my grandma was the one that swooped in and said, no, we're going to find a school for him. And he's going to play piano because it's important for his cognitive growth and everything. So I was living in my dad's house was in the like Selby Dale, kind of like Rondo area of St. Paul. And literally like a block away was Walker West Music Academy, which is a music school that's kind of based in jazz and blues and gospel and classical and everything else too, but like has that emphasis. So I started taking lessons there at a young age with the incredible William Duncan. He's my teacher for a decade. Great organ player, great singer, just a fixture of the scene for sure at this point. But I mean, growing up learning music there, all of the teachers there are also working artists. I could probably rattle off a bunch of names that you would recognize that work there. Are you familiar with Walker West?
I'm not actually.
Okay. Yeah, like Kevin Washington works there, great drummer. So many. I mean, they're like mint condition members that have worked there, that work there now. It's definitely just like a hub of great musicians who want to pass along the knowledge. So again, it's just awesome to grow up there. And I was a shy kid for sure. So I feel like looking back on it, I wish I would have taken advantage of the resources there more. But you live and you learn. So yeah, I was there all throughout high school and even a little bit of college. Started really taking jazz seriously in like at the end of high school. And then I auditioned for the jazz ensemble at the U of M, University of Minnesota, and started performing there. I didn't go as far as to seek a music degree just because I feared job prospects and stuff. But I was like as serious as someone who would be going to music school, you know, I would say. Like all of my time outside of classes was dedicated to music for sure. And I started college in 2020 during the pandemic, and I lived on campus but had a lot of restrictions because of COVID. So literally I just stayed in my dorm all day and like jazz musicians say, I was shedding the whole time. I was just playing. Like I feel like a lot of jazz musicians have a period where they really just like locked in for like months or even years and just like played every day for hours. And that was my period was COVID. It was honestly perfect. It was tragic in a lot of ways, but it was perfect for me because I had so much time on my own to practice and hone in on what I liked. And yeah. And then, so long story short, that's where Room 3 was started, was at the University of Minnesota. The rehearsal room for the jazz combos and ensembles is called Room 3. I started like jamming with the rhythm section of my ensemble, bass, keys, and drums outside of class, just because we were like really feeling each other and like felt like we had a sound of our own within that band. So we started jamming. We realized that Battle of the Bands was coming up soon at the University of Minnesota. So we were like, let's just like throw our hat in the ring, see what happens. We didn't have a name or like any material yet, so we spent a week writing some songs, and we were like, let's just call ourselves Room 3 because we've got to have a name for this, so whatever. And it's stuck ever since then. But we ended up winning Battle of the Bands that year, and that was like motivation for us to like, this is something that people are receiving.
So you're playing in the University Jazz Band. The band naturally grows out of that. You also were at Radio K for a while, So then you're meeting a lot of other musicians.
Yeah.
When did you start to feel like you were branching out of the school system and into the actual scene, the Twin Cities scene after that?
For sure. Pretty much, I would say like my second year at the U of M, like most of my energy was outside of school, even like the jazz ensemble. Like, again, back to that, the house show venue that I started in college, the Chop Shop, that was also another avenue where I was like meeting a lot of bands and like branching outside of the college bubble. So yeah, I would say like by my junior year, I was completely focused on like the local music scene and felt kind of removed from my college environment at that point in a cool and exciting way. Like I felt pretty cool to be like hosting shows and playing in bands that were gigging, you know, and just like being out there. And like I developed a hunger for that, just to like be involved and to meet people and to be someone who like when you go to a show, like you know at least a few people, you know. So that was just really exciting to me. And it was really fulfilling to me too, especially on like the event production side of things. Like when I started throwing shows, and then that's how I met Flavor World, was through the Chop Shop. The bassist in Room 3, Beck, he brought Drew of Flavor World, who I think you've had on before. You've met Drew. Great guy. He came over to my house and we were like talking about how to market this or promote this house show venue that we were starting. And Beck brought over Drew to like to be a partner, Flavor World be a partner in just spreading the word. And it ended up being really successful immediately because of Flavor World's help. So yeah, I feel like I'm straying very far from your original question.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I can't help but think like we do a a ton of episodes, and I think a reoccurring theme is like, how do you get started and how do you expand your network? And it's always, some of the probably the most repeated advice is, well, you just got to get out there and network. You got to go to shows. You got to show up and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that it's interesting to me because I think, hearing this little bit of your story, it's like you've done everything right in terms of like where you start, you know, like you're surrounded, you're in a music school right away. You've got teachers and access there. And then you're in the university band. That's the best place to, to meet other musicians. It's built in.
Yeah.
But then, you also join the radio station. There's a whole nother thing. And then you also start your own venue.
Yeah.
In your basement.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I guess my question here is that, was anything ever intimidating or confusing? Because I think some people really struggle to do those things, to do any one of those things. And you did all of them pretty successfully right away.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there was a time early on in college that another like Room 3-esque opportunity presented itself to me. These two guys I was a freshman, they were both seniors, a drummer and a bassist. They were killing, they were incredible. And they asked me to start jamming with them outside of class, outside of our rehearsals. And it was really daunting to me because I felt like I wasn't on their level. And we jammed a couple times, and after like the second time, like they were like always like, damn man, like you're sounding great. Like, and like giving me a lot of encouragement, but I still felt like I was really lacking. And after the second time, I was like, I texted one of them and I was like, hey, I don't think like I'm good enough to be playing with you guys. So I'm gonna like practice more before like you find someone else. Like I need some more time to like work on my stuff. And he got back to me and he was like, that's really surprising to hear. Like you were like you sounded fantastic. Like I thought it was a great fit, but whatever, like to yourself, we'll find someone else. So like I didn't even give myself the chance to fail. And I think that's looking back on that moment. Like even like a year later, I was like, dang, why didn't I just like go until they told me that like, hey, it's not working out or whatever. Like I didn't believe in myself. And so I feel like once I started Room3 for real, like the second time I had that opportunity, I was like, dang, well, I last time I just stopped before I was even given a reason to stop. So this time I'm just going to go full throttle. And if I mess up, that's totally fine. If I don't know, these guys kind of gave me a more comfortable environment to be in, and we had a similar mindset, but
I think too, if they're more like on a peer level, the freshman to senior thing,
for sure.
You know, in hindsight, we'll feel like, well, that wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But when you're a freshman in college, senior's a long ways away.
For sure.
You know, there's a certain period of life where that many years makes a big difference, and then later in your life, it makes no difference.
Yeah, totally.
But you know, I get it.
Yeah.
But it's also a good self-realization that you were your worst critic.
Yeah.
And no one else was angry about it, but you
exactly.
know, or disappointed or let down in any way. It was just you feeling that way.
Yep.
And maybe that was an important early lesson then to kind of push forward with all the other opportunities that you've been successful with.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it certainly was. And I think I've just met the right people along the way who really give me the space to be myself, be authentically myself, and like trust my decisions and my ideas. Like being a pseudo venue owner, it wasn't a real venue, but it was close enough. Like it gave me a lot of confidence to trust myself in that space, in the event production space and in the music space, like writing and performing and stuff. And I think like starting something of my own that I like sought help from friends. Like Flavor World was a huge part of the success of that place, of the chop shop. But the fact that I could point at that and say, hey, I started that, it was a successful thing. I didn't have much experience, but I learned along the way. Like, I'm sure you've heard this so many times on this podcast, but just like diving headfirst and learning along the way and failing along the way is just, there's no better lesson than that.
Yeah, I agree entirely. And it makes me think like, I do feel that a lot of the people that have sort of early success, there's this like, it has to be a little bit of a perfect storm of like, yes, you have to have the right amount of talent and, social abilities to make friends and things like that. Like, things have to line up. But I would say I think that's one of the things when I meet people that are, struggle, like they're good musicians, but they struggle to get bands together.
Yeah.
Is that sometimes, you don't know how lucky you have it when you say that like you just met the right people.
Yeah.
And I think some of that's just hard to control for. And it who your friends are and who your circle is makes such a huge difference in your whole world.
Totally.
And some people that have it good don't realize that just kind of fell into their lap to some extent, that it just was like luck because it could have just as easily happened that the wrong kind of people were around that discouraged and shot down ideas. And I think there's a lot of people that go through that. And I guess I'm just pointing that out to say that, I think especially earlier in my life, like going through high school and college and stuff, I had good groups of people and it did, things just kind of keep working out.
Yeah.
And they accelerate things.
Yeah. It's a snowball effect for sure.
But if you find yourself that's not happening for you, don't get discouraged. I think you just have to keep moving, pivot, like try to find new groups, try to find new scenes to be a part of, because if that's not happening, that might be part of the problem, that you just need to find a new group to surround yourself with.
Totally. Your people are out there for sure. Like everyone has their people, and yeah, like you said, you just got to keep trucking along. Like try to create your own opportunities potentially if you have the means to or the resources to. That like could be a gathering space for like-minded people. You know, that's what the Chop Shop was for me, and that's how I was introduced to Drew of Flavor World, and it created a beautiful partnership that has lasted until now. But yeah, and just trying to find spaces where like-minded people are.
But I think too, it's like you had the sense to be the creator, to be the leader of a scene in a
think that's
sense, right?
important.
And obviously there's not one leader of any scene, but with something like the Chop Shop, like where you were like, you know what, I'm going to just establish this and set the tone.
Yeah.
Then even though you don't know what you're doing, you have no idea, right?
No.
Right? You just
No
you're
idea.
going with it. But you're thinking about what do I want this to be? What would be good for me? What would be good for everybody else?
Right.
And you create that thing. And I think that sometimes people overthink that part of like, well, who am I to do all this? And it's
Right.
like, you don't have to be
Yeah.
anybody. Like,
Exactly.
You just have to.
Yeah.
You just have to do
have the
something
audacity.
that's enjoyable for yourself and what you think will be enjoyable for others, and you can be that person or that resource that you're lacking, and attract the people to you.
Totally.
Yeah, and I think you've done that extremely well. All right, well, one more question to wrap this up, and then let's get to the jazz tour.
Jazz tour. I'm excited.
You know, you're still a young dude, right? You've made a really nice reputation and name for yourself. You're involved in a lot of things. Do you feel as like somewhat established now? Do you still feel like you're trying to break in? Like, what does it feel like to you at this point?
I feel at this point, I do feel pretty established, and like I have a good hold on like the important players in the scene, and they know who I am.
Good,
like that.
because
Yeah,
you're my resident expert today.
yeah. Okay,
so.
great, wonderful. Yeah. No, I mean, I do like I acknowledge that I am like a young person in the scene, but I've been involved in a lot of things. Like I've said yes to just pretty much everything in the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been very stressful, but it's been beautiful. And I've earned the respect of a lot of people, not only because I'm a player in the scene, but I think it's having that combination of being a talent booker, event producer, and also a musician that is in a group that people take seriously has just like led to a lot of great relationships with people. Like,
Yeah.
and they just feed so well into each other, the musician booker roles. People like just people in that I've met in both of those worlds like trust me because they know me from that thing. So like if I'm booking a festival for Indeed Brewing, I can call on musician friends and say, hey, would love to have you. Like I just have a pool, like it's just such a bigger pool to pull from of relationships of people that trust me and like trust my vision or trust that whatever I'm doing is going to be a quality thing. So yeah, I feel established, and I think there's always room for growth. Of course, there's a lot of people that I don't know in the scene, and I'm excited to meet those people. I'm still have that same hunger that I had when I first started, just to like get out there and meet people, and yeah. So I'm excited.
All right, for people that are, let's say, jazz curious, right? And
Just curious.
but they don't know where to start. Where do you send people first?
Yeah. Are we talking physical spaces?
Yeah, like
Okay.
in the scene. They
Yeah.
want to start checking out what's happening in town.
Sure. Let me think, because that's the first impression is very important. If you're jazz curious, I would definitely advise you to check out I mentioned this earlier, but the Berlin Jam on Wednesday nights, late Wednesday nights with the Cherry Pit. Leo goes by Marvelous, incredible musician and community builder. He throws a 2.5 hour jam session from 10 to midnight 30 every Wednesday at Berlin, and it's a very like accessible place.
Okay.
It's not a super heady jazz
It's
situation.
not like walking into some traditional, there's just going to be expectations here kind of thing.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And if you are a player too, it's an approachable place. I mean, there's a certain level of like quality in the playing that I think like you gotta know your stuff a little bit to go up there and play, but it's more accessible than the average jazz jam like that's like people are playing standards and calling tunes like that you have to know off the top of your head. There's more room for at the Cherry Pit Jam. It's more based in, or the emphasis is improvisation and creating in the moment, and it has those elements of jazz, but like I said, it's more approachable, more accessible to someone who hasn't like been in the jazz scene or whatever. So yeah, that's a great place to start, I would say, is a jam session like that.
Which rooms feel more traditional then?
Um, I mean, on certain nights of the week, Berlin can be very traditional, as can Dakota. But again, so this is kind of a part of that growth of jazz fusion that I've been seeing. Even those places in crooners, also like one of those places that was seen as traditional in the past, are hosting like legacy hip hop groups that are coming to like Slum Village just played at Dakota, or like. So I think that the venues themselves are kind of contributing to this shift towards jazz fusion and like away from traditional. Like people are maybe getting a little bored, or the new generation has more money now and is looking for more than just traditional jazz. But yeah, I mean, like super traditional rooms that stay traditional, I feel like it's hard to find them nowadays. I don't know. Like there are smaller places like Metronome Brewery in St. Paul that has more traditional stuff. But I would say like every room at this point invites like electronic instrumentation. I don't think there's any place that is exclusively acoustic. I mean, and this kind of speaks to the size of the jazz scene in the Twin Cities. Like if you go to New York, you're definitely going to find places that are like strictly traditional. This is what we do here.
It'd be hard to survive that way as a venue here.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Like I think venues here have to kind of appeal to, like you can't just have a very niche thing that you do.
But let's say if you wanted to see traditional, it would still be ultimately the same rooms. You'd just be looking for the right groups.
Exactly. Yeah. And time of day, maybe like Berlin has a like earlier in the day, like 4 to 6 p.m. early evening jazz. That's typically more traditional, like cocktail lounge kind of jazz.
Yep.
Certain nights of the week, you can definitely find some traditional stuff at Dakota.
So we've got the Berlin, we've got Dakota. You mentioned Metronome having some stuff. What other spaces do you see jazz come through?
Crooners is definitely one. Where else? Oh, Ice House for sure.
Oh, right.
Ice House is a big one. Definitely more of a hybrid space. Again, they have all kinds of stuff, and like even like DJ nights and stuff. That's a big one. There are some great jazz festivals in town. The Selby Ave Jazz Fest is fantastic. That goes. Walker West is a big part of that because they're on Selby, or they used to be on Selby. They're not anymore. But it's just right along Selby for like 5 blocks. They usually have an awesome lineup. Last year they had Corey Henry headline it. It's fantastic. But yeah, great. That's a great festival. The Twin Cities Jazz Festival, of course, is a great one to go to downtown St. Paul. What else? I feel like I'm missing some rooms to check out for sure.
Well, if any pop up, if you think about them, we'll just throw them in later. But
for sure.
Let's circle back to the jam sessions. You started by saying the Cherry Pit, right? Mm-hmm. Are there other jam sessions people should know about?
Oh yeah, 1,000%. We finally reached a point now where I feel like there is a quality jam session every night of the week.
Okay.
And that happened recently. So recently, L.A. Buckner, great drummer in town.
Shout out to L.A.
L.A. is fantastic. Yeah. Everybody knows L.A. He's the big homie of the scene. But he recently started his Monday night jam session at Ice House. That's just like 3 or 4 weeks old at this point, so it's a very new thing, but he's been trying to do this forever. I've talked to him a couple times about this before he started it, and that's definitely more of like a invite only on stage kind of thing. Like anyone can come to it and enjoy it. Yep. But he's definitely more the guy that likes to curate what's happening, and he does a wonderful job at it. But that's a really, really cool event that just started Monday nights at Ice House with LA. Tuesday night, we got the Whitey's. That's definitely more traditional. The Whitey's jam session in Northeast.
Where's that at?
That's in Northeast. It's terrible with street names. It's on Hennepin. It's like you're coming from downtown Minneapolis and you cross the Hennepin Bridge. Mm-hmm. It's like right over in that area.
Okay. Like St. Anthony, Maine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That's a cool one. That's as traditional jam session as you would get in
That's
the Twin
Tuesday
Cities.
nights?
Tuesday nights.
All right.
From 10 to 1 a.m. People go up, call standards. It can be kind of rigid sometimes, but also there is some exploration. That's not necessarily my scene. Like we were talking about
Sure.
the two pockets of the jazz scene. That's definitely more in the traditional pocket.
Yeah, it's a different way of thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. There's some serious players that come through there though, and great house band always too. So that's a cool one. Another venue that I forgot to mention is Jazz Central Studios, which is also
right.
in the same area as Whitey's, like literally kitty corner. And then also, I can't believe I forgot this one, but Indeed Brewing Company has a great Tuesday night jazz series that I book. So shameless plug on that one. But yeah, so back to the jam sessions. Wednesday night, there's the Berlin one that we already talked about, the Cherry Pit. And then Thursday night, there's Snapped Open Mic. It's less of a jam session and more of an open mic for singers. But again, if you're a player in town and you show up there and you know the people involved, they'll get you on stage to play. But that's definitely more like they're playing a lot of like 90s R&B jams, and really fun to go to if you just want to like hang out and listen.
Yeah.
It's super dope. But yeah, I mean, the four jams that I just mentioned create a lot of space for like potentially new groups to form or like just people to meet each other. And I think those spaces are so important for the growth of the scene. And
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. So if it's something that you're interested in as a musician or as a fan, you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights to go check out any number of combinations of things.
Yeah.
And then obviously over the weekends, you can catch an actual show at one of the other clubs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a great time to be in the Twin Cities for music. It's fantastic. Yeah.
We've kind of touched on expectations from the musician standpoint, but I think that's another thing. I'd love your opinion on it. Like, how does somebody get to know when they're ready? Do you just go and view a little bit and it's like, okay, I can hang with that, and then try to meet? Like, how do you work your way in?
So are you saying when you're ready as a player,
Yeah.
like to okay?
I'll ask it from another way too. It's like, I'm sure you've been to enough of these now, or you've seen some new players emerge. What does that process look like?
Yeah, I think as a new player, it's good to come to these jam sessions or whatever with people that you're familiar with or people that you're comfortable with, potentially a friend of yours that's also a player. A lot of the jam sessions you can like sign up together, and I think it's really important, at least to break in, to have someone on stage with you that you're comfortable with, that you maybe know their sound or like have some chemistry with, just to give you some comfortability up there, because it's very daunting for sure. I had never had that experience of showing up to a jam session and like not already knowing people, just because I started earlier and
Yeah, your system sort of worked naturally
exactly.
into it. But there's going to be some people that are completely outsiders.
Totally. Yeah. I don't know. I think you gotta, it's cliche, but you gotta trust yourself. You're going to mess up. A lot of these jam sessions, like, you don't necessarily need to know repertoire, and you can show up and potentially kind of lead the effort. Or the Cherry Pit does a fantastic thing where they announce the group that is on deck, and then they go to the conspiracy corner, it's called, and those people brainstorm or just have a moment to talk about what they're going to play.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And another jam session I forgot is the Flavor World jam session. I keep forgetting to plug my own things. But Wednesday nights the third Wednesday of every month at Green Room, Flavor Jam happens. And that's definitely a very accessible one. That's a great place to start if you are new to performing, trying to get your feet wet a little bit. It's definitely not a repertoire-based jam session. It's a feeling-based jam session. There's a lot of jams that are on like 2 or 3 chord vamps, and you really just get to like stretch out and listen, like practice listening to other people and like interacting musically with others. That's a wonderful place to just put your name down and see what happens. And the expectations aren't super high. Right. It's like it's definitely a space that's very welcoming.
And
Yeah,
don't be afraid to show up to these things and not play and just meet and
exactly.
network and listen. You learn so much just listening and going, okay, this is a place to start, or no, this isn't a place to start.
Yeah, and show up a few times before you do play. You know,
Yeah.
like get a sense of how things work in these spaces.
There's going to be different etiquette.
Totally. There is a different, and all the jam sessions that I just named, completely different etiquette, completely different. And that's something that you kind of got to feel out, and you don't want to like put a bad taste in people's mouth if you go up there like overly confident, or you go up there just like not knowing how things run. So at the very least, if you plan to like play at a jam session, scope it out at first, or like come early and see.
What are some
witness
like
things.
unspoken rules in jam sessions?
That's a great question. Again, so I
'Cause
guess
there are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Don't solo the whole time.
Yep.
That's a big one. There's some people that I know that will just take the opportunity to just like, it's not all about you. That's a huge thing. And honestly, at a jam session, you have to make a lot more space than you take up. So come in with some humility, for sure. Another thing is keep your head up, and this is definitely a jazz thing, but like being aware of what's happening, and like some people might be trying to cue like going to another section or like a new idea. You have to be ready to receive those things and go along with it. So keep your head up and keep your ears open. That's definitely important.
Because somebody's ultimately curating this event, right? You've got the LA or somebody that's, or you,
Correct.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're putting on events. And, you know, there's probably a leader in this band that's trying to, you know, make this enjoyable for everybody that's watching. This isn't just a rehearsal.
Totally.
And so they're trying to make, you know, sometimes a lot of different things pull together and make sense of this. And sometimes it's going well and sometimes it's not. And you have to be helping them. If you're the problem there,
Yeah.
they can help. They can help you, saying, "Hey, let's exit off this idea," or whatever. You know, you got to be paying attention. And even if you're making mistakes, it's not your night or whatever, if you're at least trying to be there and be present and be a part of the group, it'll be fine. You know. But if you're derailing it and not helping, or not even trying to get out of this thing,
Totally.
you're not going to get invited back.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah. You just got to be at jam sessions. Just locate the leader, like you said. There usually is someone up there that has been designated to make sure that things are running smoothly. Like it's usually a member of the house band. All of these jam sessions have house bands typically, and they're there to lead and to make sure things are going well. So even if you are like an incredible player, it is important to make space for others. Like I know a lot of fantastic players that show up, maybe not a lot, but some fantastic players that show up to jam sessions and just like dominate the space because they know people are going to give them praise for their incredible solo or whatever.
Because
they can play, but that's not what jam sessions are about. It's about exploration, and it's about creation in the moment with others. Like that's the beauty of it. It's not about any one individual. It should never be about that at a jam session.
Sharing is caring.
And sharing is caring. Exactly.
Let's talk about like the bands and the groups and the individual players that are exciting, that are out there that you're like, you got to check out these people.
I've got a lot to say about
All
that.
right.
That's Oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. So in the jazz fusion world, there's a lot of like new exciting groups that I've loved to see in person. LA's group, Big Homie, is incredible. You got Hey Arlo, led by DeCarlo Jackson. He's the trumpet player for Hippocampus, but this is kind of like his jazz side project where he can stretch out and do what he wants to do. There is Gifted Hands. They're an awesome like Afro beats, gospel, jazz fusion band. Really, really cool stuff.
That sounds cool.
They're a duo, actually. Well, sometimes they're a duo. They also do full band stuff, but they do a lot of like tracks, playing along the tracks.
Okay.
And it's awesome. It's really cool. You got to check that out if you haven't seen Gifted Hands. Room3, it's cool. It's my band, but I would say we're part of that new collective of fusion bands that are coming out. Chroma chroma fusion, some young cats who are really, really killing. They're like, it reminds me of the beginning of Room 3, but they're even better than we were. Like they're really, and they're like very fusion heavy. And it's a trio without a bassist. So the keys player has two keyboards and he's playing key bass. He's walking with his left hand while he's like soloing or like comping for the saxophone player who's incredible, Jonah. Incredible. And the drummer, it's just, yeah, it's so fun to watch young players who are like so into it and just so killing.
Yeah.
Society of Chemists is it's like cinematic jazz fusion. Their songwriting is so incredible. Stephanie, the saxophonist, just an incredible writer, incredible human being and performer. Charlie Bruber on bass for that one. He's been in the scene for a while with a bunch of different groups, but he really shines. Jack Barrett on keys, Ben Ehrlich on drums. I'm a fan of that group for sure. Another one is Dilly Dally Alley. They're like comparable to Hiatus Coyote, where it's like, or Child, any one of those groups where there's like Sophia, the main singer, or the lead singer. She has a fantastic voice, but she can also shred on guitar. And the band has a wonderful horn section. Another great composition group, like they're songwriters. Yeah, I don't know. I could rattle off a bunch more, but a lot of great like fusion heavy bands for sure.
What do you think makes somebody stand out in this scene? Is it more the chops or the songwriting aspect of it?
It's never the chops. I don't know. Sometimes it is the chops. That'll perk my head up for sure. If you can play, that's where it starts. But what keeps me there is originality in composition. Like I'm really big on songwriting, and if I'm hearing like predictable, like just movement throughout the song, then I'll be less interested. So I'm really looking for originality in songwriting, experimentation with like tone and different sounds, like not just sticking with like a Rhodes keyboard and just typical bass tone or whatever and drums. Like there's more to it. Like they're trying for some, like a new, like to achieve a new sound. They're exploring for something that definitely makes you stand out. And also just like personality in the playing and in the live show. Like I really gravitate towards like some humor or just like banter in between songs, or songs that are like about silly topics or just like things that you wouldn't expect. Like it's not another love song or it's not another whatever. I don't know. Just like exploring new ideas. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I want to kind of segue into some of your other experiences from here, like particularly in the booking side of things. What's something that you see people, or let me ask it this way. What's something that you wish people knew when they start to play shows from the booking perspective? You know, something that people just mess up all the time.
So like what the bands mess up in when they're coming to a booker or whatever,
Yeah.
or dealing with a booker.
Yep.
Yeah. I would say one thing that really turns me off as a talent booker is a sense of entitlement from the jump. Like we deserve to play here because of X, Y, and Z. Like it's important to offer your resume or like talk about it, just or show some confidence for sure. But like I think it's a partnership, right? Like if you're a band and you want to play at a venue, you're like collaborating with the booker to curate an evening. It's not give me this room because I deserve to play here and I'm going to put on the best show ever. Like let's work together to bring people out. Like we have a mutual desire to fill this room and to put on an exciting event that people will remember. They'll remember the band and they'll remember the venue. Like we have a mutual. So I think it's important to, as a band, to come into that conversation from a collaborative state of mind rather than this is for us, or like it would, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
some of that stems from a misunderstanding that people think that these venues and rooms are full by default,
yeah, for
you
sure.
know? And it's like, no,
Yeah,
they need groups like you to be bringing people in. And
totally.
if you can't do that or fail to do that,
Yeah,
then this is not a good collaboration.
yeah,
Like, you know, and I'm sure that's probably one of the more difficult things to do, even when somebody is talented and they're
yeah,
respectful. It's like, but can you bring people?
for sure.
You know?
Yeah, and it's a two-way street for sure. Like it's up to the venue as just as much as it's up to the artist to do whatever they need to do to bring people out through marketing avenues on social media or whatever it is. And I think that there are certain venues and certain bands that fail to uphold their end of the bargain in terms of like promoting a show. And yeah, but having that understanding that, again, it's a collaboration to make the event and that night a success. And you're like, you are owed something from the venue, but you also owe something to the venue as a performer to do your best to bring people out. And yeah.
How has booking talent changed your view of how the whole process works?
Yeah. It's given me a pretty solid understanding of what I should ask for from a business standpoint, what I should ask for in terms of like a guarantee or a door deal. Like I have a pretty solid understanding at this point of what's fair for like a ticket split or for a guarantee. And also, yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's great information. Everybody wants to know it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
How do you, is that like in general across the scene? Is that by venue? Obviously there's going to be some fluctuation to that.
Yeah. Every venue has its own way of running things. Certain venues take a lot more than others, but you also have to keep a lot of variables in mind. Like certain venues have kitchens and they're making money off of food. So that's different than a venue that is only relying on alcohol sales or even just ticket sales. Like there are certain venues that don't even sell alcohol and they're literally just getting by through ticket sales. So there's a lot of different variables you have to consider. And yeah, so like at the venues that are selling food and have other means of making money, then I think you should probably try to ask for more, or like, you know, that they have more avenues to make money. So they likely have more leeway in terms of you negotiating your guarantee or your ticket split, whatever it is. Some of these venues are barely getting by, struggling to get by, and don't have as much room for negotiation. So if a smaller venue doesn't give you what you want, you might just have to weigh the pros and cons of like exposure. Like certain venues offer you just an opportunity to play and get in front of people, and that's valuable in and of itself.
Yeah, depending on where you're at.
Right, exactly. So I don't know. There's a lot of variables to consider there.
Agreed. So I don't want to, you know, put you in an awkward
Yeah.
position where you have to say like, this is what's fair and this
Yeah,
is what's
yeah,
not
yeah.
fair, because anybody that's listening to this, of course, this is going to change depending on 1,000 different things. But generally speaking, what do you find to be a fair offer when it comes to splits?
Yeah, I would say generally speaking, again, there's
I know, yeah. And disclaimer,
I've given
1,000
my
disclaimers,
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Like, don't take this as gospel.
I used to work at Green Room as a venue manager, and our ticket split there was 70% to the artist, 30% to the venue.
Okay.
And I find that to be a pretty fair split. Somewhere around there is fair. Some venues are doing closer to 50-50, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't know what it's like behind the scenes at those venues, so maybe they have a good reason to do that, to keep the doors open. It's a very hard time to be a venue. It's a hard time to be a performer as well.
Yeah, and splits aren't the only factor, right?
For sure.
Because you might have a guarantee, you might have a built-in audience where you're not pulling as many people, so then it could be a better deal to have a 50-50 split. There's a lot of things. So
yeah,
people that are listening, don't just go out now and say like, this is what I deserve. But I do think that we should be talking about this, right? We should be sharing
Totally.
these kind of numbers and sharing the different context that these numbers live in, so people can start to calibrate a little bit. Because I guarantee there's going to be somebody at some point that comes across this episode and is like, I thought 50-50 was great. And it might be like, oh, maybe I can ask for more And
Yeah.
they needed permission. They needed somebody to open that door for them to be like, well, let's talk about it. Maybe we can get 70-30 now.
For sure.
And they might.
Yeah.
They might not.
But again, though, you have to be bringing that value. You have to have a reason to ask for more.
Yeah.
You know,
they're
like,
not going to just give you more money
Right.
because you did
Because-
nothing new.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Like, and I also think that there is a misunderstanding with that too. I think recently, this is awesome. In the Twin Cities, there's been with the Teacup, with the Twin Cities United
Yeah.
performers, there's been more of a conversation around artists getting what they deserve. And Twin Cities United Performers is doing a great job at like educating people on like asking for an advance before your show and negotiating, like asking for what you deserve. But the deserve point is important. Like you need to be providing some kind of value to the venue. Like it is a business. You have to be bringing people in, and you can't ask for an unreasonable number because your art is worth that.
Right.
Like, and it's worth everything. Your art is
Well,
so important
To you.
to you. Yeah, exactly.
But not necessarily
also
to
just,
anyone else.
Like from an existential standpoint,
Yeah.
your art means the world, and you should cherish that. But you are entering into a business agreement
Right.
when you're performing at a venue.
That's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
Listen, there's all kinds of music out there. And it's only going to get worse in terms of saturation.
Right. Totally.
Not necessarily live, although maybe to some extent, but particularly for recorded music, we've already seen, right? There's an excess of it. There's no way you could ever listen to everything out there. So I'm not saying that to devalue what you're doing.
Yeah.
First of all, if you need to love what it's bringing for you personally, because if that's not there, forget about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
that has to
no
be
point.
number one.
Yeah.
Number one reason. But when it comes to, playing in somebody's building that they're paying a lease for, like there has to be money involved.
For sure.
And therefore, if you're not bringing money in, then you can't expect to be getting paid.
Right. Yeah, totally.
It's easy.
Yeah. And sometimes you're just not ready, or your band isn't at the point where they can perform at certain venues. So like you kind of have to like work your way up in a way,
right,
with a lot of this stuff, and like gain a following, and then you have some leverage to ask for more. Like my band Room3, for example, there's no way we could have played Dakota 2.5 years ago with the following that we had. Like we just wouldn't have brought people in the door. I think we did reach out to them, just being like, hey, can we open for someone? Can we do this or that? But it wasn't until we started pulling real numbers and I was able to go to Dakota and say, hey, we just performed at Ice House. We brought this many people in.
And that's how it works.
We did this at the bar. Like all these important disclaimer for people out there. If you are a band, a new band, and you're trying to find some kind of leverage for negotiation purposes, you can ask the venue that you performed at for data. If you played a good show somewhere, you had a good turnout, even if it wasn't you that brought the people in, or it wasn't all you, like it was a co-bill with like 3 or 4 people.
You should have contributed to it.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Don't lie, but you can ask the venue for data, like how many people came in, what did they do at the bar, like numbers wise. Those things are very important, and bookers respond to that. As a booker, I love to see that kind of like cold hard numbers.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because, back in my day when I was gigging more and not just doing studio work, that was always a huge thing. And what your crowd does at the bar is a huge part of it.
It's everything on it. Sadly, it's everything.
If your crowd is a drinking crowd, then your crowd is worth maybe twice somebody else's crowd that's not a drinking crowd. And so if you're not asking that information, then you are missing a huge potential leverage point for yourself. But yeah, you need to know these things, because just like you said, Dakota's a great example. They're gonna need information. They're gonna research you. They're gonna need proof. They're gonna need references, essentially, like to get in that place. You're gonna have to say this is exactly what the numbers were, and they're probably gonna call and check if they don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's all gonna be run down.
Totally.
So it's not just, I think a lot of people look at these things and go, well, when we're this good, then that's how we get in.
Yeah,
you know,
it has nothing to do with
and
talent.
it really doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's usually always a part of the equation because you
Yeah.
don't get to that point without talent.
Right. Totally. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of bookers really do respond to numbers, and that data is accessible. So always ask for it.
Yeah.
And also, when you do create a relationship with a booker or a venue, you have played a show, like that's a continual relationship that you have to keep up. You know, like it's important for me. We've played Dakota probably close to 10 times at this point, and every time we play there, I want to do well, so that I want to bring people in so that we can continue to play there. Because like if we stop bringing people, then they're not like it.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees, you know. Like it's a continual relationship that you have to nurture, and like treat each show like it's your first time there, and you really want to impress.
Yeah, and it's
the
totally
people
fine
involved.
after that show's done to reach back out to that booker and like, hey, how was it for you guys? How was the bar sales? How was the food sales? Like, was it a success on your end?
Yeah.
And if they're like,
Right.
not as great, like,
And they'll be honest
okay,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can then, encourage during the show, hey, make sure you
Yes.
go get some drinks. Go
That's
hit
a
the
big
bar.
one. Not enough people do that. Like the tip your bartenders thing, or just like plugging what the venue has to offer and where
Yeah.
they're making money is very important.
It is. And when you get that information, that's also then when they're like, yeah, we crushed it. We'd love to. When can you come back?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that's usually the response you'll get when.
Yeah.
And then it's at that point you can be like, you know what? Maybe we'll go to the 75-25 split on this next one. And then
Yeah, and also like come up with creative ways for the venue to make money that also contributes to what you're doing. Like at Dakota, at our album release show, Room 3's album release show there, we proposed creating a special cocktail that fit with our album release. And they had like little leaflets on all of the tables, like promoting the Bill's Garden drink. I think we called it the Bill's Brew or whatever. And it was like specially curated to the experience, and like a bunch, like they sold out of that drink. I think they pre-batched it and they sold out of it. And they reached out to me after and they're like, that was such a great idea. Like it made us a lot more money than we would have made.
Yep.
So like you can create leverage points too. Like that.
We played a bar. It was kind of like a regular spot for us. It's not around anymore, but we would, suggest what kind of drink deals our audience liked.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
these
great.
are the things that we know they're going to want.
Totally.
Like, because we drink it with them, like
Yeah.
we know what this, if you run 2-for-1s on this, you do this, like you're going to go crazy on this.
Yeah.
And that's all stuff that the venues want to work with you on.
Right.
If you know what's going to work and make them more money, you should absolutely be working with them.
You know your audience best.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. Maybe your audience likes wine or whatever, you know what I mean? Like figure it out.
Totally.
Figure out the right situation and work with the venues. Yeah, I think that's something that you can start, if you're just getting started, your best bet is to be an opening act first and foremost.
Yeah.
But once you graduate to now you're hosting these shows, these are absolutely conversations you should be having.
Totally. 1,000%. Yeah.
Kind of on that topic, because, you do talent booking, but you're also, you'd mentioned that you really enjoy putting on unique experiences. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, because I think it's more important than ever to really think about the whole thing, not just like this band is going to kill it. Okay, that's good. But what else? Because the competition's high.
Yeah. 1,000%. The competition is high, and this word has been brought up a lot, but there's a lot of oversaturation or just like stale 4-band bills. Like it's the same formula being put on over and over and over again. And certain venues don't really have the energy to do something new and novel for every show, or like put a bunch of energy into your specific performance on a Wednesday or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to be the one that is like, what if we did this? What if we did this? It has to be you that brings that pizzazz and that energy and that playfulness, Flavor World has been a huge inspiration for me for that. Like, what else can we do? Yeah, we're doing the thing that people enjoy, that's proven to be a cool thing, the 4-band bill or whatever. But what can we add to the experience that makes people want to come and then want to come back to another Flavor World event or whatever. We host an annual festival called Flavor Fest at Indeed, and it's a music festival, but it's so much more at the same time. We do like cool like set design. We create set pieces for it, and this is things you can do as a band too. Like you can bring stage props or like throw stuff up on the projector or whatever. Like there are things that can enhance your performance and make it stand out. I guess, are you asking this question from the band's perspective or from the event producer?
Both. Anything that comes
Okay.
to mind. Just
Sure.
ultimately what I'm asking is, what makes an event special? What makes it different? What can get the juices flowing for people to think about curating an event versus just putting on another show?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it honestly does start with the lineup, like having a lineup that makes sense, or that makes sense in a way that like people wouldn't expect. Like a jazz fusion band can work with a rock band if there is some kind of through line that you can pinpoint. So for me as like a booker, I love curating interesting and like thoughtful lineups that wouldn't happen, and maybe like introduce new crowds, like just bring together crowds. You know, that's a cool piece for sure. But there's like extra things that you can tie into these experiences, like, I don't know, having vendors on site that are like, whenever I'm throwing a festival or whatever, I'll definitely try to get other organizations, small organizations involved that will promote the event and also bring something to the table, whether they're selling their own knickknacks at a table or whatever. I don't know. I'm thinking like Flavor World-esque things, but
Well, I would say that it starts with the lineup, but it also kind of starts with the story of like, well, why are we doing this in the first place? What's the purpose of this? And obviously people are like, because we want to play our songs. Well, but try to think a little more creatively.
yeah,
And the first thing that's easy that people usually see is like, oh, this went better than normal, is when the story is album release show.
sure.
Because now it's a story. Oh, we're doing something. There's a reason. There's something behind this. And then, oh, more people show up. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It was, yes, because releasing new music, but it's because it's an event now. It's not just a show. And if you can start to think in that terms of like, well, what's the reason? What's the story? Then that will lead to the other decisions. Because based on what you
sure.
pick there, then it's like, well, then we should have this visual. And it should be this kind of setting. And it should be this kind of lineup if that's going to be the story. And maybe we could support it with this drink menu or these vendors or any number of things, or how we theme the evening.
Yeah,
All kinds of stuff. But that's what starts to get it a little bit more interesting, because if your pitch, just like it is for releasing music, if you're like, hey, I released music, everybody like, congratulations.
yeah. Well, why
like,
should I care?
Why
Yeah.
should I care?
Yeah,
It's the same thing with your show. Hey, I'm
Yeah.
playing. Why should I care?
yeah,
And obviously, if you're in that, rare breed where it's just like, because I'm amazing and everybody likes my songs and all that stuff's going well and
Yeah.
great. Continue on, but you probably won't always be that fortunate.
Yeah.
And so you want to start working on these things. And even if you are, doing those things will make it even better
yeah.
for the audience.
Totally.
And you'll grow faster.
Yeah, that reminds me kind of a similar collective to Flavor World called Ozone Creations. I don't know if have you talked to any of those guys?
No, but they've been on my list of people to get
cool.
on at some point.
They do a wonderful job of curating an event, or like creating a theme around an event. Like they have this Silk Lounge series at Ice House, and they always have like a different theme for like wardrobe, and it like, for this next one, it's like a Western theme or something, like cowboys and stuff.
I love it.
But it's like people want a reason, like, and Flavor World does this too with Flavor Jam. We always have a theme for the night that either has to do with wardrobe, or it has to do with like what you bring to the event. Like we do like barter hour events where you just bring a random thing and you try to like trade up throughout the night and like see what you end up with. Just like things that allow the audience to participate.
Yeah.
Are really important.
Or even if they don't participate,
Yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah. for sure.
because there's something there.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Hmm. What did you do last night? Oh, I went to this event and everybody was wearing, it was monochrome, or I don't know. It was just like weird, quirky stuff that like create conversation. Like you said, that's a great point. Yeah, and also you don't always have the capacity to do this every show. And like you said, album releases are special because it's a special occasion, and it's not. It's you're celebrating something specific. So, and there are certain venues, like if I'm gonna go play at a smaller club like Berlin, I'm probably not gonna put as much energy into like everybody show up in like this kind of outfit or whatever. Like that's definitely more of a show where I'm focusing on the music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously like a festival when Flavor World does Flavor Fest, like it's a different thing. It's a different, I get why you can put a lot more into it because it's wide open. It's all day. But still, when, let's say, take Berlin or Dakota Jazz Club, part of it is that story's baked in. We have expectations for what a jazz club is going to be like. You know, we get to sit down, get to order a nice drink. There's going to be, does Berlin have a menu? I think they have a small one, right? Yeah. And so the evening of going to one of those jazz clubs is already kind of the story, right?
You can play into that.
You can enhance on that now.
Sure.
But that's already kind of a thing for the audience. So that's why it works still to maybe not turn those into something else because it's already something. That's not true for every venue, especially like your random bar or whatever.
Sure.
Like, no, I mean, unless
1000%.
your audience is big drinkers, then going to the bar makes sense. But agreed, it's not like you can do this every time. You have to space it out. But that's kind of another point is like if you're playing so much that you can't, then you're just probably playing too much too.
That's a thing. People don't talk about that enough.
You got to space them out.
There are bands, I'm not gonna name them, but they play like 3 times a weekend, and it's like nobody's gonna want to come see you if you play so many times.
The only way that works is if it's not your audience.
Yeah, right. Totally. If you're playing different kinds of events or whatever,
you're playing at Music in the Park and this festival and that, and you don't have to worry about bringing your audience.
Right. Even so, yeah, that's true. If it has a built-in spot, but also that's kind of piggybacking off of, or it's like we were talking about bringing value before. If you're like playing so often that you're like relying on the venues like built in to bring the people, then I think that's a little like you're not upholding your end.
I'll clarify my point on that.
For sure.
There are events that really nobody necessarily has to bring, like Music in the Park, in the suburbs or whatever. Like, that's just families show up because it's every Wednesday and it's some other band. Like you bringing yes, you should still bring your audience, but it's a different thing. But those are rare gigs. Those are not your normal ones that we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. I just think also there's a certain etiquette that you should have as a band. If you are playing a show where you're expected to draw people, you should kind of set your own little radius clause for yourself, at least a week on either side of it, where you're not playing shows where you have to do that thing at that place too, where you're bringing people in as a hard ticket thing. You have to sell tickets. You have to create some kind of scarcity for your product that is your band. Mm-hmm. And I think you do that by spacing things out for your sake and for the venue's sake, and making it like that also makes it more of an event, more of a thing that people seek. Is if, hey, these guys haven't played in a minute, at least in the same place that I usually catch them at. So I'm going to make sure to go to this show because I don't know when I'm going to see them again. And I don't know, like creating scarcity is important, I think, and not enough people talk about that.
Yeah, it's a tough balance because, early on you want to say yes to everything and try to play and get experience.
Well, yeah, then there's different eras. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're on other people's bills. But once you become the headlining act of at least most of the time, then you're better off spacing things out and trying to go big on fewer shows. you're going to have a better success, because the show, you'll probably put in more effort and the show will be fun. The audience will enjoy it. Instead of saying yes to everything at that point, like start saying no. There's different types of shows, right? There's festivals, there's things in town and out of town. There's all kinds of different ways to mix it up if you want to stay busy.
Yeah.
But I think that's a pretty common mistake as bands transition into playing their own shows, that they're playing too much.
Right. Totally. Yeah, that is a good point. It does happen at that transition moment where you go from opening act to headlining act that's expected to like bring the people in. And I think people ultimately learn their lesson because people stop coming to their shows, or there's just much less of a crowd, and they're like, wait, let's take a step back and what are we doing wrong? And sometimes the answer is let's stop playing so much, But I don't know. It's hard though too, because we love to play, and and like you want to say yes to everything, and like you want to just keep doing your thing, but also it gets stale if you're playing the same set lists over and over again. And like spacing things out also gives you more time to write, gives you more time to focus on something other than the next show.
Yeah. Well, what's next for Room 3?
There's a lot going on in the world of Room 3 right now. Actually, we just won a grant.
Congratulations.
Through the McKnight Foundation. Thank you. Like we just got the news over the weekend, and it's a pretty sizable grant, and we're working on our second album right now. We're finished writing it, and we're about to embark on the recording process of it. So having some money to work with for that is huge for us. We didn't have that the first time around, so very excited for that. In terms of shows, we're playing at Berlin on July 10th. Haven't played there or like our own show there in a while, so that'll be exciting. We do like 2 sets there usually and play different music on both sets. It's a fun place to stretch out and just try new things. We're playing at the Dakota in October with Rakim, incredible MC from the 80s from New York. Mm-hmm. Benji, the booker at Dakota, shout out to him. He's been wonderful to us in our evolution as a band, and for like allowing people to take us seriously, like giving us resume pieces. He's put us on we played with Slum Village in February or March at Dakota. We've opened for Javier Santiago, for the Headhunters, just like crazy opportunities. So shout out to Benji for sure for that. But he put us on to another show as the backing band for Rakim in October. Very excited for that one. A lot of other little shows here and there coming up, but it's kind of a new era for Room 3. We recently added Mike Green, guitar player. He's been playing with us the last like 6 or 7 months, and we went from a quintet with horn as the lead instrument to a quintet with guitar, and that's definitely given us more of a rock edge, like a prog rock sound that we've really leaned into, and has been beautiful. And like new songwriting avenues have opened up, and the composer in me is very excited for that, and just like having a new instrument in mind when writing, it's very exciting. So a lot of exciting things in the world of Room 3 right now, for sure.
I wish you all the best. For people that want to check you out, where do you like to send people?
You can check us out on Instagram. That's probably the best place to see like upcoming shows, at Room 3 Collective. We also have a website now with a newsletter that we've been trying to build out a little bit. Still in the early stages, but we're getting there.
That's good.
Yeah. So room3collective.com. Yeah, I would say those two spots. And then we're on all streaming platforms for if you want to listen. We have one album out right now, Bill's Garden, our debut project, released last year, available everywhere, and also on Bandcamp.
We'll make sure to throw all those links in the show notes. Before we sign off, then you gotta share a secret, and maybe make this one a little bit specific to the jazz world, of like something that you wish people, more people knew.
Yeah. Let me think on this for a second. Are we talking secret in terms of, or is it just like kind of general, wide open?
Whatever you want to share.
Okay, cool.
It can be a tip for a musician. It could be a shout out. It could be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, cool. Well, one thing that I just found out the other day, it's kind of dumb, but Dakota has I thought for the longest time, it had one tiny little green room that's behind the stage, but it turns out that they have a secret green room that is through the kitchen for specifically for like the big time headlining acts. We played there last night, and for the first time, like alone, like no other supporting groups or anything. Like it was just our show, and I was sitting in the small, tiny green room behind the stage, and our server comes out and he's like, "Hey, you know that there's another green room back there, right?" And I was like, "I did not know that, actually." And then he took me back there, and it's just this beautiful room with like a long table, and so it turns out there are 2 green rooms at Dakota Jazz Club. That's my secret.
That's good to know. In fact, I've played the Dakota a couple times. I don't think I've ever seen the Dakota.
Yeah,
So,
it's the best kept
can't
secret.
remember it,
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's not like a musician tip or anything. I guess it is.
Yeah,
If
it
you're
is,
playing
sure,
ask for what you deserve. That's
right.
what it is. Ask for the
if
second.
it's your night at the Dakota,
Yeah.
you should get the
Head
nice
over there.
green room.
Even if it's not, go see if you can look at it. It's-
I love that. That's a great tip. Eli, thank you so much for this. This was a pleasure to get a little bit more familiar with what's happening in the jazz scene. For anybody that's curious, go check it out. There's all the jams, some great clubs, some great music. Highly encourage you to show up and start listening. Good luck with Room 3 and the future projects.
Thank you so much.
And I hope to see you around.
Yeah, likewise.
For
Thanks
everybody
so
that
much for
tuned
that.
in, thank you so much. Share this with a friend that is curious about jazz or wants to learn more. And we'll see you at the next episode.